Apologize. My name is Adam Glass. I'm from Advanced 2000. Thank you for joining us today. I know you have a very busy schedule, so we're going to try and make this next 30 minutes as informative as possible for you. What I'd like to start off by saying is we hope that all of your colleagues, coworkers, customers, and most importantly, family are safe during these times. And Advanced 2000 as a company, we've been doing everything in our power to be able to protect our customers and our own employees here during what's going on. And we'll get right into it and explain to you how Advanced 2000 might be a perfect solution for what's going on today and in the future planning for these. Hey, Amato, I'm going to introduce a couple of people real quick. I've got Andrew Tamkina on the phone with me, or on the line with me. Andrew is our solutions engineer, and he is going to be helping us out with this. I've also got Amato Figueroa. Amato is driving this right now. Amato, I'm hitting my space bar and I'm not advancing through the screen. So if you could do that for me, or make it so I can do that.
Should be able to just click on the presentation. Should be take you to the next screen.
Oh, there we go. It did it this time. All right, we're good now. All right. So I'm going to start off with our intent and purpose of this call. Our intent and purpose of this call is to be able to first off explain to you who Advanced 2000 is and why we have a solution that will be very timely, for people and what's going on right now. This is a very unique challenge, providing a solution to the COVID-19 the virus that may be a urgent solution to a very, very present problem, or this might be something that your company is going to be strategizing for, planning for, so when things calm down, you have a tool, a plan to be able to move forward, so that this type of thing does not happen again and interrupt business the way that it has so far. So with that, I'm going to get into who Advanced 2000 is. So Advanced 2000 is a 31-year-old company. We're headquartered just outside of Buffalo in Amherst, New York. It's a company that started off as a traditional IT company, a company that were building servers and PCs and large data networks. We've transitioned and evolved into a company that did voice over IP systems. We were one of the very first to do that in the country. Today, and for the last decade, we've transitioned and evolved into a cloud computing company to the degree that today we own our own data centers. We operate our own data centers. We keep an outstanding balance sheet, and it is a company that is growing. We're a very secure company, and we continue to increase our data center assets so that we can provide a continuing service, not just here domestically in the US and North America, but around the world. This is all supported and run out of our Amherst, New York headquarters. For today's purposes, we're here to talk about the Advanced 2000 Collaboration Hub. This is the service that we have perfected over the last 10 years, and it is very much so and has been targeted, focused in the architectural, engineering, and construction communities, basically because of the very unique and high-powered computing resources that you need to run some of the very intensive 3D programs that we've all become to depend on. Right below that, where it says Advanced 2000 Cloud Collaboration Hub, I also have a new line in there. We're calling it Cloud Space. We're going to refer to this this new term throughout the presentation, and I'll get to what we're talking about as we go on, but it was just a term that I want you to introduce now on the call. These are a couple of the possible scenarios that you might be facing right now. These are very, very symptomatic of most of our customers that we've had over the years, and this could be made up of many things. Most people right now are dealing with a premise-based system. And what I mean by that is you've got your servers, your data, your PCs, your everything that you have in a brick and mortar, a premise, location. From there, you're accessing this, whether it's through your local area network, You might have a wide area network set up where you're allowed to be able to maybe VPN or some type of a rudimentary remote desktop type of solution that some people have been able to employ. You also might be distributed, have multiple offices, whether they be around the country or around the world. In many cases, those different locations are working in silos. You're not able to instantly in real time collaborate on your data. In times like this, that is only exemplified, it's exaggerated, the difficulties and the challenges that come with being able to share information, back up information, be able to do things in a timely manner. And we'll talk about how our solution is able to solve that challenge. Some of you might also be in a hybrid situation where you might have some things that are premise-based and maybe have a cloud or two that you use. Office 365, for instance, you might be using a tool called BIM 360 or something like that. So it might be some areas where you might have some cloud tools employed, but might also have some premise-based. And for today's purposes, we'll call that a hybrid cloud, okay? This brings us to the Advanced 2000 solution. Okay, the Advanced 2000 solution starts off very quickly as this. The Advanced 2000 private cloud is there in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. This is where we're going to build out a dedicated virtual infrastructure for our customers in our fully redundant data centers. Okay, this is a dedicated infrastructure for that customer. We're not sharing resources across other customers or other private clouds. This is your dedicated infrastructure. Within there, you're going to have your file servers, your licensing. You're going to have a firewall, as you see there at the on the slide, protecting each one of those individual private clouds or private infrastructures. Okay, this is basically taking all of your infrastructure that you had at your location and pushing that up to a fully redundant, fully protected data center into your own private cloud now, okay? This can be internet accessed through the internet, okay? And that could be many different ways. This could be through a point-to-point, a dedicated circuit that we would have from our premise in our data centers directly to wherever your location happens to be. More often than not, that's going to be over a VPN, okay? And we're going to actually show you a demonstration of this and go right through our VPN into a live virtual desktop that Andrew's going to walk us through in a few moments. This can be accessed through the public service telephone network and many, many other ways. This is where I get back to that cloud space term that we talked about before. The reason I say cloud space and why that this term is going to become more and more prevalent, the definition is for the worker is changing, and it has been changing over many years. More and more people are working from home. More and more people are working from the job site, construction trailers, remote offices, other situations where there might be office space like WeWork or Notel or things like that. We're distributed, and this world is becoming more and more distributed. To save time and to save nomenclature, I'm using this term cloud space. And what that cloud space can be anything that it happens, all the things that I mentioned before. It could be that remote worker. It could be the home office. It could be the headquarters. No matter what it is, when you're working in a private cloud environment like the Advanced 2000 solution, these become cloud spaces. These cloud spaces can be accessed on any device, making the challenge that we face today with the COVID-19 virus that much more attainable to be able to solve. Meaning this does not have to be the computer that you go to every day when you go into the office. You don't need to necessarily have a very high-powered terminal or high-powered computer to be able to do the type of work that we're talking about, things like Revit and other type of Autodesk types of programs, very intensive programs. These all could be now accessed on the device of your choosing. Even if that happens to be a tablet, it does not matter, okay? This could be just mundane, normal types of applications too. Doesn't matter, you can bring any type of application to the table. This third one that I bring up here, or actually I should say fourth cloud that I've popped up, what I want this to be is to show how our solution can migrate as quickly or as slowly as you want it to. Meaning, ideally, all of your data is going to be sitting into that private cloud, so all people would be able to access it. However, when you're making a major paradigm shift like this, when it comes to people's workspace, it will help to be able to have it so that there might be a hybrid type of situation, okay, where we are transitioning, migrating that data over to that private cloud, but for the time being, or maybe on a permanent basis, depending on the circumstances, we can still access that data that you happen to have on whatever platform that happens to be, whether that be still in your premise, or maybe on a Google Drive someplace, or maybe in conjunction with something like the Autodesk Office 365 product. Something like that will allow you to be able to employ all those different things, or just a part of that as in your private cloud. Okay. Andrew, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you're on the right track for sure. I think definitely be helpful to give them a bit of a demonstration on what this all looks like here in a little bit.
We'll get right to that. Andrew's dying to show you his tools here. So before we get to that real quickly, a reason why the Advanced 2000 solution is custom built for the AEC, the architectural engineering construction industries. We're not just turning over to you a normal virtual desktop. These are specialized desktops. These are desktops that have been tested against every single type of program that we know of that the building and design community is using. This could be something as basic as a standard VDI with a minimal amount of RAM, a basic amount of RAM, a basic amount of graphics, just some basic stance type of storage, all the way up to a machine capable of running the most intensive programs like Lumion and Enscape 3D, V-Ray, and things like that. We call those our Designer Plus. Those are going to have NVIDIA RTX boards in them and 4 to 6 core, 3.7 gigahertz type of machines. And these are dedicated resources to those VDIs. You're not sharing one of those 8 gig Quadro cards with other users. That is going to be a dedicated card to those users. As you can see, we're also software agnostic. You bring your own licenses. We are able to support any program out there, as I mentioned before. Here's a few of them, like Revit, AutoCAD, Lumion, Navisworks, Enscape 3D, and so on and so forth. With that, Andrew, why don't you go ahead and bring them through, and we're going to show you one of our live virtual desktops.
Sure. Yeah, no, great. So before we jump into that too, I'll just kind of tag on a little bit of what Adam was talking about there, because we did have one question that's coming in here, specifically about how well Advanced 2000 works with existing like BIM 360, Vectorworks products, other cloud platforms that are currently used by architects, engineers. So we'll address a lot of the questions here towards the end, but I thought it was a good time to kind of touch on that one. Think of us as infrastructure as a service, right? So really what we're doing is we're just replicating the existing topology of IT infrastructure that you have in your offices today, right? We're delivering these high performance cloud delivered virtual desktops that can enable you to run some of these high performance graphical applications, some of these collaborative applications, things like that, just like you would locally, except you're now able to leverage that infrastructure essentially from anywhere, right? Kind of as Adam alluded, which kind of leads really nicely here into the demonstration here that I'm going to bring up for you real quick. So let's take a quick look. I'll minimize this here. So right now I'm on my laptop, just a regular basic, low-powered laptop device that we get issued here at Advanced 2000. And so the way that I'm able to access my actual, my cloud desktop, which is the desktop that I work in and day out, is through a technology called VMware Horizon. So VMware Horizon is the platform that we choose to deliver our virtual infrastructure through. We found it to be the best. We've done decades worth of testing on all of the platforms out there in the market, and we've found that VMware's Horizon platform happens to be the most robust when it comes to delivering high performance graphic workloads to customers, definitely like in the architecture, engineering, and construction space. This application, this client here, I've installed just from the VMware website or from your cloud portal if you have a cloud environment with us. It's also available, as Adam alluded to, on many other platforms. So like if you have your cell phone, it's available in the Android App Store or Android Play Store or the iOS App Store, all free of charge. So I launched the client software, and you can see right away I'm presented with all of the various servers that I can connect to. Each server represents a particular environment. So you can see here on my client, I've got our demo environment, which is what we're going to be accessing. I've got one of my personal employee environment. That's where I log into my desktop every day when I'm working. And we have another one here for peripheral purposes. You click on the server that you want to connect to, and just like logging into your desktop in the morning when you get into the office, you're presented with a prompt to enter your username and password. So I'm going to log into our sales demo desktop here, put in our credentials, and then you'll see right away I'm presented with a window that shows me which desktops I've had access to, right? So you're not restricted to just accessing one desktop. Maybe some of your firms out there have a shared workstation that is running some very specific software, very high-powered infrastructure, right? We can assign and allocate those resources internally as well to our clients and our customers, and from there, make it really, really simple and easy to access from anywhere, from any device. So what I'll do here is I'll just connect to the demo desktop, and it'll connect me to our remote Windows 10 desktop that's running out of our data center infrastructure. You can see on this particular desktop, I've got a number of software applications installed. So what I'll do is I'll quickly launch Revit 2019 here. I'll also just kind of briefly show you guys. So if I look at the properties for this particular PC, even though I'm on my laptop, I've got now a PC running an Intel Xeon processor, 32 gigs of installed RAM. If I jump into Device Manager, you can see that I've got an NVIDIA Grid M10 graphics adapter allocated to this virtual machine, everything that you need to be able to run high performance graphic workloads. So honestly, the proof is in the pudding, right? And so we'll kind of dive into how you guys can test and play around with some of our services here as well. But just for the purposes of this presentation, I'll launch the sample architectural project for that's preloaded with Revit. Let's pull up the 3D view of it. And you can pretty much see here that the orbiting, panning, tilting, zooming, everything that you would be potentially concerned with when running a remote desktop and things that companies are really struggling with today, we have perfected. We've gotten to a place where we claim to be a barely or not noticeably different from running a local physical workstation running under your desk. And you can see what this really enables you to do is to work from anywhere, to work off of any hardware, right? If you're on the road somewhere, meeting with a customer, and you need to bring up one of your models or need to make a change to something, you have access to your entire software portfolio at the palm of your hand by literally logging into your desktop through your cell phone. So yeah, again, not to say that you would want to run all of your production workloads from your cell phone, given the size of the screen and everything, but the concept is that it is possible. Right, and that's literally what we're here and enabling people to do. So yeah, Adam, anything you wanted to add to that?
Nope, not that particular one. We can go on to the next topic.
Excellent.
So one other thing that we want to mention here is Advanced 2000. Since we specialize in the architectural engineering construction industries, we have experts on staff. We understand what it means to have a deadline. We understand what LODs are. We get the world that an architect, an engineer, and a construction manager live in. To the degree that we have actual architects on staff. We've got people with literally decades of hands-on experience working in the architectural industry. We have BIM managers that work with it. We call it our BIM manager in the cloud. These are people that have expertise on all the different types of applications that folks use day in and day out in the design process, and they can support and help you with those types of things. What we like to say is we are able to provide you with as much or as little support as you need. We want to be able to augment, to work along with our partners. You might have a perfectly capable IT department that can handle most of the things, but you have a BIM department, a VDC department, a design department that has very, very different needs than the rest of the company has. That's where we can come in and help with that augmentation. Work together to make sure that the company is providing a solution to all. We have a methodology towards our approach to bringing people in. We offer a full demo and evaluation period. This is a free service. You let us know, when you're ready, and what we would do is provide you with a couple of our virtual desktops. These would be our designer level desktops. This serves two purposes. The main purpose that this serves is it allows you to be able to get the proof of concept, understand our environment, be able to work in our environment. We encourage you to copy a model up onto that. We encourage you to put your files up there. Use it as though it was a real production system, okay? In fact, we're going to go ahead and take those two designer desktops and we're going to put them into a shared file, allowing you to be able to see that real-time collaboration and get all those efficiencies, or be able to see what all those efficiencies are gained back by not pushing and pulling data back and forth, okay? We bring you to the data rather than the data having to come to you, all right? That's yours for a week or so to be able to try out, okay? The other thing that does for us is because we give you a couple of different of our designer desktops, it allows us to gauge what type of virtual desktop you're going to end up needing in production. Will your power users need to have one of our high-end virtual desktops that we saw on the slide before? Or can you get away with some of our enhanced desktops? This period allows you to basically take them for a test drive. Figure out, do you need the Ferrari or something a little bit slower and more affordable going to suit your purposes? From there, we can go as quickly or we can go as slowly and methodically as you want us to be able to go. This would be a migration. Sometimes we call this a pilot. Sometimes we call this a project cloud. You might have projects right now, and due to what's going on in the world, you need to be able to get those teams immediately into a collaborative space so that they can meet the deadlines that you already have, okay? And we can do that, okay? If you have those types of situations, there's going to be contact information at the end of this presentation. Please reach out to us and we can set some real expectations. And we can come up with these plans fairly quickly. This might also just be a strategy type of thing. You're faced with a challenge, the world is changing, the way that we're doing work is changing. Maybe on the other end of this crisis, you want to be able to have a plan in place to be able to make sure that the next time something like this comes along, that you're prepared. Whatever the case may be, that's something we would like to be able to sit down and work out with you. Either case, you've got our attention, we can address it, whether that's urgent or something that we're going to take care of later on down the road. We then want to work with you to complete that migration. We've gone in with a project cloud or a pilot cloud or maybe some type of thing where we have to jump in right away, like I said. But at some point, we're going to start bringing more and more people, more and more data, more and more of your operations into that dedicated virtual infrastructure that you now own, okay? The beautiful thing about being in the cloud, once you've created that platform, once you've created that virtual infrastructure, adding to it, taking away from it, increasing the capabilities of it and upgrading it are as easy as calling our 800 number or sending us an email. You call us 24 hours a day and you tell us, I need more virtual desktops. I need more space. I need more storage. I have the following problems, questions. I need to reset it. Somebody is there to answer you and to take care of those needs. Very agile, very quick, and it makes your company very agile and very quick. And your customers and clients will see that. Lastly is our support. A little bit more about that. Like I said several times with this is 24-hour support. Our network operations center is headquartered up there in Amherst, New York. where people are ready to take your calls and be able to support you. Okay, whether that be as a premise-based system, like we do have around the world, or one of our cloud solutions like we've just been talking about. We own and operate our own data centers. Okay, we're not using AWS, we're not using Azure, we're not using any of these third-party data centers. These are our data centers. We operate our own data centers out of our network operations centers in our primary one, which is in Amherst, New York. Okay, we are dependent on no one to make sure that our jobs get done. We own that responsibility. We also can provide on-site field support. We've got people all around the country, depending on where you are. We can get some people on site to be able to help you with that on-site touch if it is needed to be so. Some areas more than others, but we can take care of that. All right. Again, we are here to work with you and augment your existing services. We want to partner with you to make this as easy and as much of a paradigm shift with as little impact to your user community and your clients as possible. With that, I can conclude, and we would love to take some of your questions while we still got some time.
So we've got a couple questions that I've kind of been trying to answer as we go through this process here. I'll address a few. So one we kind of touched on a little bit, and that is, and I'll talk a little more about this in detail, we are truly software agnostic, right? What we're providing is the infrastructure that you need to be able to run your business. That means whatever it is, whatever software you're using, it can and will run in your private cloud environment with Advanced 2000. Specifically, you know, some of the questions that were brought up were related to even some of the existing collaboration softwares, right? So like BIM 360, right? Again, the idea here is we're delivering a high performance virtual desktop with which you can do anything that you want to, right? One of the added values of Advanced 2000 is that we're able to deliver, we're able to eliminate some of those additional collaborative software overhead costs, right? Because now, for example, instead of using BIM 360 to, you know, act as really a virtual Revit server for your, you know, branch offices or maybe some of your work from home employees, they actually all come in and work out of the same virtual workspace. So, you know, not saying you can absolutely eliminate BIM 360 with our solution. It all depends on the use case, but we definitely help to enable a lot of that overhead, right? Another one of the big ones that keeps coming up is if you companies, for example, have Panzura or Nasuni to push some of those file information across the wire so that you're continually synchronized and replicated between your virtual or physical offices across the country. Again, that's something that we could potentially eliminate that overhead for if you bring everyone under the same virtual roof within Advanced 2000. So yeah, definitely, I think something to just kind of readdress there.
It's also important to mention also we have offices in Boston, New York City, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Chicago, Texas, and a few other ones that I'm probably forgetting right now off the top of my head. But we do have people both from sales standpoint as well as support in those locations.
A couple other interesting questions. One here, so obviously the one I showed you guys today was a very simple built-in sample project for Revit, right? I can tell you again, there's no resource limitations when running in our cloud environment. In fact, it's even more flexible and scalable running out of our data center. Because we can add resources as needed, right? Maybe you take on a big project with a partnering firm that's massive and you need to add more RAM to your virtual desktops. That's done with the click of a button in our environment versus in a traditional IT environment. You have to purchase the RAM, you have to physically reinstall it into the desktop computer. You need more storage, you have to reinstall the operating system or image the drive, right? All those things are frustrating for traditional IT. But in a virtual environment, you can easily allocate whatever resources are needed. We've got massive civil 3D projects doing 5-mile stretches of highway, for example, running in our environment relatively seamlessly, right? Because those projects are resource hogs, right? But again, the concept there is very simple. You know, we're delivering those resources virtually. We're able to scale that for you guys at a very, very simple and straightforward manner. One other neat question here, and this is a good question actually. Do you have to have the software loaded on your laptop or desktop to be able to view the 3D model and rotate, zoom, etc., as shown below? So the software, again, in this kind of environment, the software is loaded on the virtual desktop, right? So your virtual desktop, which is assigned to you, or maybe it's a floating desktop that's assigned to the whole company or whatever, that gets the software installed just on it, just like a physical desktop would that you have in the office. Once the software is loaded on that virtual desktop, you only have to have the VMware Horizon client software loaded on any device you want to use to connect to that virtual desktop. So with that said, you can have your home laptop, you can have your cell phone, you can have your office computer. None of those devices have to have Revit installed on them. They just have to have the Horizon client installed, and then you connect to that virtual remote desktop where you can access your Revit software.
Okay. So with that, bring us your challenges. We want to help you become a mobile, safe, secure workforce. Whether it's the things we're talking about today with the architectural programs, any kind of data that you have, Office 365 concerns, voice over IP and hosted telephony solutions for working remotely. We'd like to hear your challenges so we can provide you with some solutions. I also forgot to mention our Toronto, Canada office and the good people over at Hub that are partnered with Advanced 2000. With that, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to speaking with you. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.